Hi everybody, I hope you're having a great day. In this video, I'm going to be covering Count Nefaria. He made his first appearance in Avengers, issue number 13, that was released in December of 1964. His real name is Count Lucino Nefaria, and he's an unbelievably powerful mutate that stands 6 feet 2 inches tall and weighs 230 pounds, having blue eyes and black hair. And make no mistake, he is unquestionably one of the most powerful humans on Earth, period. I'd say only the Hulk can rival him in his strength, and you'll see why in 1 minute. Now, of all the many powerful and calculating villains who've tested the mettle of Earth's mightiest heroes, few can even come close to matching the sheer power and aristocratic arrogance of Count Lucino Nefaria, a figure of immense wealth, influence, and later near limitless physical might. Count Nefaria has been a persistent and formidable antagonist in the Marvel Universe for decades, being driven by an insatiable hunger for power and control. Matter of fact, Tony Stark has even noted that Count Nefaria embodies all that he's tried to avoid becoming in his own life. Initially, Nefaria was not introduced as a physical threat, but as a brilliant and cunning mastermind, a wealthy Italian aristocrat who secretly held a position of immense power as the head of the Maggia, a powerful international crime syndicate that served as Marvel's analog to the Mafia. His initial schemes were complex and relied on manipulation, wealth, and technological prowess rather than superhuman abilities. He was born into a noble Italian family, inheriting a vast fortune and a respected title. However, he became deeply bored by the life of a traditional aristocrat and yearned for even more power and excitement. He would find this outlet in the criminal underworld, using his genius-level intellect and resources to unite and control the disparate families of the Maggia. From his ancestral home, Castle Nefaria, he orchestrated vast criminal enterprises across the globe. In his very first appearance, he would trap the Avengers in a time-displaced illusion of Washington, D.C., a testament to his strategic mind. He was also responsible for the creation of the first Lethal Legion, a team of supervillains including Living Laser, Power Man, aka Eric Jostin, and Swordsman, whom he empowered and sent against the Avengers. Yet, despite his brilliance, these initial plots were consistently thwarted. And being frustrated by his repeated defeats at the hands of superpowered heroes, Count Nefaria sought to acquire superhuman abilities himself. He would eventually force Dr. Kenneth Sturdy to develop a process that would grant him powers far beyond those of any single Avenger. The process involved amplifying and combining the powers of the Living Laser, which was vast energy projection, Power Man, which was vast superhuman strength and durability, and the Whirlwind, which was superhuman speed. The experiment was a success, but it came with a terrible cost. You see, the process was unstable, causing Nefaria to age rapidly. But to stabilize his powers and reverse the accelerated aging, Nefaria underwent a second, more dangerous procedure. And this process involved a massive bombardment of ionic energy, similar to the process that empowered Wonder Man, Simon Williams, and Atlas, Eric Jostin. This transformation was a success on an unimaginable scale. It didn't just give him powers, it converted his very body into a being of pure ionic energy. As a result, Count Nefaria then gained a staggering array of abilities. He possesses superhuman strength that rivals or even exceeds that of Thor and even possibly the Hulk, although I question that. But nevertheless, this makes him one of the most physically powerful beings on Earth, as I stated earlier. He's also basically immortal, being completely self-sustaining and having an accelerated healing factor if you can injure him. Although there are not very many things that can do that, with adamantium being one of the few physical materials that can accomplish this. He also has greatly enhanced superhuman senses, the ability to fly, moderate to high levels of energy manipulation, which include vast energy projection and the creation of solid energy constructs, as well as a simulated form of telekinesis, being able to shape his energy around objects to lift or move them. He's even gone on to develop the ability to teleport. But an ability that matches his namesake is that he has ionic vampirism, notably being able to drain other ionic beings in order to maintain his power levels, which not only increases his own strength and abilities, it actually allows him to influence those he's drained from. in a sense becoming this Ionic vampire. Now, that being said, this is also tied to one of his very few physical weaknesses, because it's been shown that if he doesn't occasionally replenish his Ionic reserves, his body will begin to weaken. Additionally, despite his immense power, his defining weakness is his hubris, with his aristocratic belief in his own superiority often leading him into underestimating his foes or to create openings that they can exploit. Nevertheless, Count Nefaria became a top-tier threat, capable of single-handedly battling the entire roster of the Avengers and Thunderbolts at the same time. One of his most famous storylines actually involved his attempt to detonate an ionic bomb that would transform the population of DC into ionic beings under his control. And this led to a climactic battle where he soundly defeated the Avengers, including Thor and the Vision. And it was only due to the combined might of the Avengers and several other heroes, specifically the ionic draining powers of Vision, that managed to eventually overload and seemingly dissipate Nefaria. But make no mistake, he's returned numerous times, often demonstrating his superiority over individual heroes. On a separate occasion, he famously fought Wonder Man and the Vision, two other beings with ties to ionic energy, in battles that tested the limits of their power. And we can't downplay the psychological hold that he has over others being a key aspect of his character. Notably, he's the father of Whitney Frost, the supervillain known as Madame Mask, and their relationship is deeply strained and often antagonistic. You see, we often observe that Nefaria craves not just victory, but recognition of his supremacy, a psychological flaw that has led to his downfall over and over again. But inevitably, Count Nefaria remains a recurring and dangerous figure, a constant reminder that even for the most powerful heroes, there are threats that push them to their absolute limits. So, due to his vast powers and abilities, and his significant influence on the Marvel Universe, for my 1 to 10 rating, I'll give Count Nefaria a rating of 10, which is a legendary rating. I hope everyone enjoyed this video. I'll talk to you next time. Be sure to like and subscribe to The New Sage.